Good morning, everyone, and today we're going to be talking about Citizen Sleeper. Now, despite the good reviews on Steam, it is probably one of the most okay games I've ever played. Now, this is an atypical game, being more of a story-based, text-based game. Now, you would think because of this, it would be heavily story driven, and the story would be upper echelon, better than most. And it is in some ways, and in some ways it's not. The basic premise is you are what's called a sleeper in this universe, and basically you've sold off the rights to your physical body to a corporation, and now you've escaped with a different body. To my understanding, you are now a fugitive in a way on a new stowaway ship with nothing, and you must survive and progress the story in various different ways. There's a survival aspect in terms of you actually have health, hunger, etc. Very minor, but it's something that you have to keep track of. So the way this game works is everything's based on dice rolls. Now, you get a certain amount of dice per day, depending on when you went to bed, how much energy you had at the time, and how much health you had at the time. Now, you also have skills on top of the dice roll. So, for instance, if something takes endurance, you'll apply your endurance stat plus the dice roll, and then that gives you the percentage of how successful or unsuccessful you'll be for each task. Now, I know a lot of people don't like dice rolls because it leaves too much to chance, but in this game, there's dice rolls, but you can influence it enough to pretty much always get the outcome you want to get. It's almost an illusion to risk. You'll know what I mean once you play the game. Now, all that aside, the game's writing is good, and it can be bad at some times, but let me explain. Basically, there's a bunch of different storylines you can take place in, and those storylines end up getting you to an end goal. Some are good, some are bad, but you can do these separate storylines all at once. Now, this leads to one of the game's fundamental flaws, and that is, near the end of the game, if you've progressed down a certain path, you may trigger, like I did, an ending where you cannot go back from it. Meaning, I triggered an ending and then was unable to trigger any other endings, and you can't progress any other storylines. So you're locked in. You're given no warning to this, and you can't backtrack in your saves. So this is the fundamental flaw to this game, which ruined it for me, because it was a good game. I was interested in the story, but the ending is an ending I didn't want, and there was nothing I could do about it. And in a game like this, that's inexcusable. Number two, a minor complaint, but a very silly, overlooked thing about this game is, this game you can collect certain objects, and you can sell those certain objects, but when you go to sell something, there is zero indication on how much that person or corporation or whatever is going to pay for said object. So you have no idea. So you would have to sell something first, reload your save to know how much they were going to pay. That is just ridiculous. I can't believe that was overlooked. It's such a silly little stupid thing that any other game has, but this game doesn't have. And guys, for those simple two things, especially the ending one, I can't recommend this game. Unfortunately, it has good writing, but the fact that you will arbitrarily be locked into an endgame scenario that you don't even know about and not really get the ending or get to the storyline you wanted to get to, and you're trapped and you can't even reload back to a earlier save to get out of that, is just insane. It is such a flaw, in particular in a game like this that's story driven and text driven. I don't know how nobody pointed this out or saw this, but it has very good reviews on Steam. but I cannot recommend this at all for any price point. And honestly, I'm saying that as a total shame, because the starting of it, the middle of it, the story, they're good. There's some cool storylines. It's a nice little $15 game that you can fuck around with, you know. It's nothing too serious. It's more of like a late night thing you can chillax to. It's basically a short story. But guys, like I said, can't recommend it. Unfortunate. Take that $15, put it elsewhere.